Hey sis, how are you? It's 7:30 p.m. East Coast time. So I know this is like different from what we're used to when it comes to Millennial Talk Mondays. And like I told you guys, this is new, this is different. I don't want to create something that's not truly authentic to myself. And I feel like people are I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes I will get dressed up and I will talk to you guys, but I do want to be authentically me. And I want this to be authentic brand, an authentic ministry, an authentic everything. So, I mean, did I want to have a real nice setup? Yes, I definitely did. But if we're sisters, you're gonna see the good, the bad, the ugly of everything, right? So I had expected my Millennial Talk Mondays to just be all set with a whole bunch of stuff together. And it wasn't happening the way I wanted it to be. So this Millennial Talk Mondays is about expecting and still trusting God in the midst of it. Because I had expected I had asked a group of people if we could interview, and I will say that there were times where there was like one of the interviews I couldn't do because my time didn't allow me to do it because at the time my mom was sick and well she wasn't really sick, it was just that she had a health concern that I really had to take care of, and I'm my only child, and although I have my husband, um it's a lot of more on me. He can help in a way, but it's not something I can just throw on him. You know what I mean? It's my mother, it's my parents. So I had so much stuff going on with that, with doctor's appointments, surgeries, and all of that stuff. So I couldn't get to a place where I could just take care of my mom and do what I needed to do for her revelations because I'm a type of person that when I get overwhelmed, I can only focus at like a level of certain things at a time, you know. I think I know there's a lot of people who can like do a lot of stuff in the midst of like chaos, but for me, I have to focus on what it is that I have to do. So that's pretty much what happened. I had to focus on my mother. So the interviews that I had set up, some people had to cancel, some people were too busy to do it. And we'll probably still be able to interview these people because I really want us to have a strong foundation. And so I had set up interviews for like financial advice, counsel, like, like having a counsel, like a financial counselor or advisor talk to us. Um, I have like a really dope friend that does life insurance. I have a really dope friend that does psychology. She's a therapist. And I have an amazing cousin who you guys have met, Tiffany Rogers. And if you haven't gotten her book yet, please go get it. It's a really awesome book, guys. And it's not one of those like heavy, big books that's going to take you days. Literally, I finished that book I want to say in a couple of days. It was just really a good book. Not even a couple of days because it was probably took me maybe 2 days with my busy schedule, but it really wasn't that bad. Um, and then I had an amazing, amazing spiritual sister who is also going to be on here. So we had some great people lined up. It just the schedule wasn't lining up for the last couple of months. So I said, you know what, God, I feel like I'm just gonna have to do segments where it's just us talking. Like when I talk to my sister, we have boring conversations, okay? But then we also have like those juicy conversations, and it's just about life. It's just about things in general. And so I wanted to come here and say, don't let your expectations stop you from doing what you know God or you yourself have dreamt of doing. I have so many times expected situations to go a certain way, and if it didn't start off the way I wanted, I would just stop. Could it be a trip with my friends and one or two of my friends cancel, and because I want to enjoy that memory with them, I cancel? No, you keep going on that trip, sis. That trip might be something that is life changing for you that you don't need to wait for a friend to go with you. If you're okay going solo, go solo, but always use, your safety, keep that in mind. But I was the type of person, and I'm still struggling with this is something I'm still struggling with today, is that you expect things to go a certain way. And when it doesn't go the way you think it should, you just stop. But I'm learning that you cannot expect something and just stop because we disappoint ourselves. It's not other people disappointing us. We disappoint ourselves because we have an expectation that we have in our mind, our hearts, and because it doesn't happen the way we expect it, we just lose hope or we just stop doing it or we alter that plan. But don't. You know, I have for a long time, even when I was like a teenager, I used to love going on dates with myself. I used to feel like I had to have someone with me to go on a date. And I remember one day I had called my friends and nobody was available. My boyfriend wasn't available at the time. My mom was working. My dad was working. And I just was like, you know what? I really want to go out. Why do I have to wait for these people to go out? So I went to the movies, and at the time we had the dollar movies. So I went to the dollar movies and I bought like two tickets because I was gonna look at two different movies. I went to the at the time Western Boulevard in Raleigh had like this restaurant. I can't even remember the name of the restaurant, but I went there and I ate. And I remember in the midst of that thinking, I really had a good time. Like I watched what I wanted to watch. I got to laugh and not feel like, oh, somebody's shushing me for laughing too loud. Or if there was a stranger there that thought I was laughing too loud, guess what? I really did not care. I had a ball with myself. And so I was just like, I really like it. And so then sometimes I would find myself, if I didn't want to go home or I didn't want to just sit in the house, but I really at the same time didn't want to do anything, I used to like driving to different places where it might be like, like a park or somewhere where I could just sit down in nature and just sit. And it always would seem to be times when I might want to call my best friend and she's just not available, but I don't really want to talk. You ever be in a situation where you don't want to talk? You just kind of want to be to yourself. And I just learned that if I expected my friend to be there, she couldn't be there. She's not a bad friend, of course not. But I just needed that time to myself. And I found that a lot of things that I've expected to go a certain way and it did not go the way I expected, it seemed to be the best times that I've had because I didn't expect it to go the way it did, but it was the way that God intended it to be, if that makes sense. Like, you ever had like this expectation, like you're going out with your girls, and one girl didn't want to go, or a friend didn't want to go, and you're like pushing them to go, and then they go because you pushed them to go, and they go, and the whole mood changes, like the whole vibe is off because the person don't want to be there. Now, there has been an instance where a person didn't want to go, and yes, if it was meant for them to go, it might be in a good situation. But there's been times where a whole vibe would be off because you're trying to convince somebody to do something they don't want to do, and that because their intentions are not to be there, it just throws the whole thing off. So the experience in your mind that you thought y'all would have was the complete opposite. But if you had went by yourself, it probably would have been an experience to remember, you know? Like, we have to stop expecting getting mad when it doesn't go the way we want. It just does not have to do for our first Millennial Talk Mondays. God kind of let me know that it has to be authentic. It has to be where people can really just be together, like sisters. My sister, she and I, like I said, my sister Jasmine, my sister Shaquana, when I have conversations with them, sometimes, we don't have a lot to say, but when we're together, it's just a piece of like you're kind of talking, you're interacting, you're loving the conversation that you guys have. You love the that whole conversation. Like, I don't know how to explain it in the sense, like, God help me to say it in a way. So we have that just authentic conversation that just unplanned, uncensored, just it just happens and it's natural. And so we all have to get to a point like it's just going to be that way sometimes with our Millennial Talk Mondays. It's not going to be formal. It's not going to be all put together. And I'm okay with that. And I think deep down, you guys will be okay with that too. But yeah, just go with the flow, guys, because sometimes God is doing things the way He's doing it for a purpose. Um, I remember me and my friends, we wanted to plan a girls' trip, and we went to Miami. And at the time we had planned it for my sister Jasmine, my sister Shaquana, my sister-in-law Jasmine, my sister Shaquana, and my best friend Avilia. And it was Shanae that was supposed to go too. These are like, you don't know. I'm saying their names, but you guys don't know them. But anyways, we all went. We went to Miami. My sister canceled last minute. And I want to say Shanae had told us up front she couldn't go. But that trip was not the way I expected it. And I was a little disappointed because I did not expect it. So let me tell you about expectations. You cannot expect things. Like I said, expectations, we disappoint ourselves. Miami is such a beautiful place, but I promise you, I would never go to Target again where I have to walk. I didn't like, we expected Target to be like it is here, and it's completely not like that. Like, we had bought all this stuff for our Airbnb, and we didn't realize that we couldn't take our cart to the car. We literally are on the strip and we can't take our cart to the car because the cart won't move past the entrance of Target. We expected our Airbnb to be a certain way. It was completely the opposite. But us being together, I felt like that's what we needed. Like, we needed to relax. We needed to laugh. We needed to just experience Miami. I wish we had more time together, but I do still feel like in the midst of it, our expectations weren't the way we expected. But I think that we were able to create a great bond and a great um atmosphere for each other. You know what I mean? If my sister was there, the more I think about it, I think I would have not liked her being there because I know the things that we expected to see in Miami and it didn't go that way. She would have been upset about it and she would have like literally like kind of complained the whole trip, to be honest. But with me, Jasmine, and Avilia, we made it work. We went to South Beach. We went to, different restaurants in Miami. We did those things because we were that type of group that will just figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And that's what was beautiful about it. So yeah, let's just not expect things because expectations will really hurt us in the end, you know? I feel like we love to have this idea in our minds, and when it doesn't go that way, we either panic. And some, not all of us sis, because I know some sis, they're really good. They can switch it up. But me and sisters that are like me, who have expectations and don't know how to handle when the expectations don't go the way we expected, we need to work on allowing God to work it out. You know what I mean? Like, we may not expect it, but watch how your behavior is, watch how your tone is, watch how everything is, because you might learn that what you expected wasn't the experience you deserved. You deserved a better experience. And you will get that when you're probably in an element by yourself, or when you're in an element with the right people. And this is not to say that just because your friend didn't want to go and they had an attitude at that scenario that I gave earlier, doesn't say that they're a bad friend. It just means that they weren't in a mental space to accept it or to receive it, because life happens. And so I can't tell my friends how many times I am one of those friends that when I'm stressed, I have to be to myself. It helps me to process where I'm at in life, where I want to be in. And so if I don't really want to go anywhere, I keep myself to myself, because I don't want to ruin somebody else's day. I don't want to be that friend that's thinking negative all the time. But if that's the frame of mind that I'm in, at that moment, that's the frame of mind that I'm in. And no, I don't want to be there, but through prayers, through fasting and everything else, and through maybe calling a friend and saying, "Can you pray for me?" I can get through it. You know, I just don't want us to have an expectation and we stop doing what we're supposed to do. Y'all deserve to be able to do what you want to do. You deserve it. We work hard, okay? I work hard. I know you guys work hard. I work hard. And I cannot continue a life where I stop doing what I want because it didn't happen the exact way I wanted or the exact way I imagined it. You know, there would be times when my husband and I would do something and I would think in my head how he should respond. And if he didn't respond in the way that I thought he should respond, I had an attitude or I just thought it was wrong. And that's not right. We're all different people. So our thought process is different. Our priorities are different. So don't let expectation ruin what you want or have a feeling of any, like, don't let it ruin it. Okay? Just don't. And I'm sorry that this didn't come out like in the sitting in my nice setting or whatever, but I'm tired. I just worked. But I couldn't not talk about this. Like, I was literally thinking, God, what can I talk about? What can we talk about today? And expectations is what came to mind, because you expect a lot of things, you know. And it really hit me hard this weekend because I expected to have a weekend that was like a little stress free. I thought I was just gonna volunteer on Sunday, have my little nephew, and get everything I wanted to get done on the website. But that's not how it worked. But the very thing I was looking for or expecting to happen, I was able to do the goals that I had set out, but I got to spend time with my sister-in-law, I got time to spend with my mother, I had time to spend with my mother-in-law, I got time to spend with my husband, I had time to spend with my nephew. So the things that I had expected for my weekend to go, it didn't go that way. But God blessed me to still be able to do a lot more than I expected. And my weekend didn't go where I, really expected it. I thought it was going to be a, a relaxing. It wasn't very relaxing, but it was very worth it, if that makes sense. Like, I felt like my weekend had a purpose, that it had something worth worth it to do. Like, I felt like you ever like when I volunteer, I tell people all the time, I love volunteering at my church because when I volunteer at my church, it's a completely different type of tired than me just going to work and being tired because I'm just drained. When I go to volunteer at church, it's a tired of, man, I did something great today. I did something for a purpose today. And that's what I felt like this weekend. It wasn't, I was tired. I'm still tired, but I felt like I did something with a purpose. And so everything that I expected to do this weekend did not turn out the way it did, but it was a blessing nonetheless. And so just know that. Just know that expecting something to go a certain way may not happen the way you want it, but it will happen. And not to go too biblical on it, but just like David, when it was expected, people thought like once David got into the king, like into the kingdom, he was just going to become a king, and that wasn't the way it was. He had to serve Saul for a couple of years. He expected Saul to love him throughout the whole journey, but Saul became jealous of David because the people loved David, and so David expected a treatment. He didn't receive it, but God blessed him with the kingdom. God blessed him with favor. Now, did he mess up in the along the way? Yes, he did. But the Bible still said that even in the things that David did, David was a man after God's own heart. So what we expect may not happen the way we imagine it, but God knows that it's probably the better, it's better than what we ever dreamed of. So don't let your expectations cause you to miss out on something beautiful, on something unexpected, and something great. Cause sis, to my single sis though, to be honest with you, the moment that you let go of expectations, you might meet your husband, sis. Just saying. Just saying. When you let go of expectations, you definitely might meet your husband because you're not allowing something to hinder you. You're allowing yourself to evolve. You're allowing yourself a chance to go with the punches, you know? So I hope I said something. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you have any questions, just let me know. But I just wanted to come on and just tell you that because I love y'all and I don't want to, like I said, get in the habit of not doing what I feel like God has called me to do. So you guys be blessed. I love you. And if you have any questions or any concerns or just want to talk, I am only a message away. I am here for you. I love you. And I hope you have a great night. Bye.